Many of us find ourselves mortified at the idea that we could be the bad guy in somebody else's story, that we could be the villain in somebody else's story, right? Every time we tell a story about how somebody wronged us, they are the villain in our story, right? But do you ever think for a minute that when somebody is telling their story, that you might just be the bad guy in their story and they might be right? How do you deal with that? How do you grapple with that? I would like for you guys to comment below. For some people, it can be debilitating and it can be crippling because a lot of people, especially if you suffer with people pleasing, it can feel so intense to know that you did not make somebody's day, that you disappointed somebody, that somebody's sad because of you or crying because of you, or you hurt somebody. It's really hard on you, right? But when we think like this and we become slaves and almost crippled to it, then we kind of put everybody else first before we put ourselves, and it could be debilitating to us. That wanting to be the hero in everybody's story can be a hindrance and it doesn't propel you forward. In this video, we're going to talk about that and more, and how to overcome that, and why it's okay to be the bad guy in somebody's story. You cannot be the hero in everybody's story. Hey friend, welcome to my channel, Karina Ludmeto Gym. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, I know it's been a while since I've been consistent on this channel. I've been on vacation this summer, but I'm back and I am ready. I am refreshed. So I got you guys on a slew of videos that is coming up in the next coming weeks. So there are some people that naturally do not care, how you feel about something. They will tell you their truth and they do not care how you feel about it. How you feel about it is your business. It's not their problem. It's not their business, right? Not all of us are as lucky to be like that. And I always look at people like that with a little bit of envy. And it's not a bad thing. Even in a Christian sense, you need a backbone, okay? Even as a Christian, all right? Even as a Christian. Because a lot of people use Christianity to play the hero in everybody else's story, even at their expense and at the expense of their salvation. But we're gonna get into that. That's gonna be my last point. Let me ask you guys this, and you guys comment in the comment section if you've ever dealt with this before. How many of you guys find it extremely difficult to get off the phone with somebody? Like if someone calls you, you do not know how to get off the phone. So instead, you kind of wait for them to be the one to kick you off the phone or tell you that they gotta go. But you find it very, very difficult to just hang up. So you end up, even like a simple excuse like, oh, let me call you back, this, that, and that. You'd rather just not. And you find yourself wasting hours in a day talking on the phone when you have so much work to do, so much to do, and you just don't know how to not talk to this person, like to get off the phone, right? A lot of people deal with that. And if you don't deal with this, now how many of you guys, when you go to a party, and I'm not talking about like a crowded party of like 100 or plus people where it's easy for you to sneak out and go home, right? But how many of you guys go to a party where maybe it's the 5 of you guys or 6 of you guys, or like it's a gathering with friends, and you always find yourself feeling guilty to be the first to leave, or to be like, hey, I'm out of here, I got stuff to do. So you end up lingering to not hurt anybody's feelings. And you find it like you're trapped. You're trapped. But it's like so simple to just be like, guys, I got something to do. But if the person's like, you're leaving just now, don't leave yet. Da-da-da. If people put up a fight for you to stay, you end up staying. And then now for the rest of the week, you got to play catch up on all the work that you had to do. Or for the rest of the day, you missed out on things. Maybe it was your workout time or whatever the case may be. A lot of us find ourselves dealing with this, and it's a real issue for people. I used to be one of those people that did not know how to leave a place because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings. Like I consider myself the life of the party. So every time I'm ready to go, people are like, no, don't go, Karine, da, da, da. And I know in my mind how much I have to get done. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I end up staying. So it went to the point where I just avoided going places, period, with a crowd of people. Or I just stuck to hanging around with people that would understand me if I have to leave. Because you all have that, friends. Like my closest friends, we all are busy, working people, entrepreneurs and stuff. We don't be having the time, okay? So it'd be like 9 o'clock. And we're all like, it's time to go. And they understand, you know what I mean? But not everybody understands that. And so I find myself just avoiding social situations. And that is not the answer, okay? Therapists had to tell me, like, no, that is not the answer. You need to have a backbone for yourself and just say, hey, I gotta go. I know, I'm sorry, but I'll see you another time. I just can't do that. And it's okay if the person is sad and miss you. They're supposed to miss you. But you're in their face all the time. You can't leave. It's a problem, right? That's another thing. And then lastly, how many of you guys have been in a relationship, whether with a man or woman, woman, if you're a guy watching, whatever, woman, whatever, been in a relationship and you knew this relationship was not for you, or you've been entertaining a guy you're talking to, you see all the red flags in talking to this guy. You're like, this guy's not for me. Or it could even be a friend. Like somebody's trying to be your friend. They're trying to get real close to you, and you know off spiritually, but the person still keep pushing, and you find yourself trapped and entertaining that person and don't know how to get out of it, and you feel, you know, stuck again. And then of course, the very last one is the financial, you know, stuckage, the financial traps. When, say it's a family member or a friend that has financial issues, you know, it's always good to help people that have financial issues genuinely, that cannot either help themselves or they find themselves in a rut. We all find ourselves in a rut where we miscalculated things and we, you know, stuff happens, right? But you help them, but then you find yourself, now the person you helped them once, they find themselves coming to you and trying to make it a recurring thing, and then you wanting to lift the burdens of the person, that people pleasing in you. It can work. And like the Bible verse, I'll put some Bible verses up here for you where God says, okay, that if you do not work, you shouldn't eat if you can work, right? He talks about laziness, right? So yes, you're supposed to help people, but you're supposed to help literally the widow that really can't help herself, got all the kids, her husband just died, ain't got food. Yes, bring her food, this and that. The homeless, genuine people. I always tell you guys that you do not enable people. It's not godly to enable people. I don't care what you say. If the person can work, they have all their vitality, they're still useful, their brain is functioning how it should be functioning, then you don't have no business coddling that person. You have no business enabling that person. That is not the godly character, right? But a lot of people use the Bible for that. But you find yourself now, how many of you guys find yourself in financial ruts because you volunteered your resources or you volunteered your financial assistance to people without thinking it through first. Like someone come to you with all their problems, right? They come to you with all their financial woes and you just want to help them, and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, let me help you with this and that. And you didn't think through that, hey, if I help this person and it becomes a continuous thing, it might put me in a rut down the line with this bill. Now you're behind, or you didn't calculate your finances. A lot of the people pleasing, wanting to play the hero, we want to save people to the point where we don't even think things through. You want to save this person from their financial situation, and you're lending your money only to be in debt. I told you guys on this channel before, and I'll be transparent, I've been in debt, real debt for people, okay? Real debt that I just could not say no and put myself in messed up situations. And then the same people, the audacity, when stuff started going bad for me, these same people will be the same ones coming to try to give you financial advice on how you should have managed your money and stuff. And you'll be like, oh, never again, darling. Okay, so when I speak of this, it's from a passionate place. I really don't want you guys to just feel stuck trying to be the hero. And of course, hero syndrome also comes in. You always want to be the listening ear to your good girlfriend or good guy friend that's going through it, whether with their family, their relationships. You want to be there for people, right? But there is a fatigue. I forgot the term my therapist told me, but I'll look it up. But there is a certain fatigue that comes with listening to someone's problems all day, every day, 24/7. Okay, and doing nothing else, right? There's something that comes with that, where that energy kind of, you know, that's why they tell you therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists, they have to mentally check themselves too very often to be okay, because it could be a lot to take in people's problems, especially if you're more empathetic and you kind of feel people's emotions and you make it your problem. If you're one of those people that make people's problem your problems, then you always want to play the hero. You always want to save somebody. A lot of us are in toxic, bad relationships for us because we wanted to save somebody. How many of you guys are dating a guy or dated a guy you've dated in the past that, you know, and a woman too, that you see all your home girls are like, sis, he's this, he's that, he had this amount of woman, he's this, but then there you go. You know, he just had a rough childhood. He's just been through some things. He's just been through, I could help him. Maybe if I do Bible study with him, maybe if I encourage him to go to therapy, maybe if I love him the way he never got the love. Listen, this is true tea, I'm telling you guys, okay? And you find out that, yeah, nothing changed that person. Nothing changes that person. That person is still toxic years down the line. And you ended up stuck with a toxic person because you was trying to play the hero syndrome, right? You end up, oh, he doesn't have a car, he can drive my car, he totals your car, and then you get another car so you can, you know, give him a place to crash on your couch and stuff, trying to be the hero. And how many of you guys all your homeboys like, yo, she smashed the homies, she's you know, this and that. You see how she talked to people, how she is with her friends, and you still feel like she just need a real in her life, you know, a real one, a real one. It's something with Haitian men too, I say, in the Haitian community. Like, they love to be like, I'm gonna be the one to humble a girl. And it never works out that way. It never works out that way. You cannot save people. You cannot save people. You are not God. Only God can save people, and people gotta want to be saved. They have to want to be saved. You cannot save people that don't want to be saved. So you end up trying to be the hero, and then in the end of it all, when that relationship ends, you finally set yourself free. Guess who's the villain once you decide to stick up for yourself? When you decide to finally speak up in these gatherings, I have whole friends that, you know, once you started speaking up, like, oh, I can't hang out every weekend until like 2, 3 in the morning. I have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things to do, a lot of people that depend on me. I have to go home and work. There's a lot of friends that never speak to you again after that. But you just spoke up for yourself. And a lot of times in being the hero, where I say it interferes with our spiritual lives and our, like, whatever religion you're in or whatever spiritual belief you have, it can interfere with your morals, right? For me, as a Christian, I find that when I'm putting somebody else's feelings first, like there's a relationship I know I shouldn't be in or I don't want to be in or whatever because of spiritual reasons, I find that, you know, you don't want to take the burden. You don't want to be responsible for somebody grieving losing you, or you're not in their life anymore. So I found it used to be very difficult for me to break up with people when I realized, oh, it ain't it. It used to be very difficult. So I'm like, I don't want to be responsible for your hurt. And I rather, in this toxic way, make myself to be this horrible woman, you know, this, you know, unpleasant person to kind of turn the person off. And it just doesn't work that way, because then when the breakup does happen, guess what? You're the villain in that story, right? Even with friends, you keep giving these friends the same, you keep giving these friends a chance over and over again, you know, giving them a chance to fix things, make things right, or be the kind of friend that you need. And then all the while you see it doesn't work out. And I think no one likes to be talked about. No one likes to, people sitting in a circle and then like, oh yeah, she did this, or he did this, he did that. So we try to avoid that. And no one, if a lot of people have good hearts, it comes from a pure place where you genuinely really don't want to hurt nobody. You really don't want to hurt nobody. And you kind of overexert yourself. You know, you overexert yourself to the point where you're choosing this person because you don't want to be responsible for their grief. You stay with them even though you know you're doing ungodly things. And it's not the kingdom husband that God has for you. It's not the kingdom wife. But you stay with this person because you can't stomach hurting them. But then you're hurting God. You're hurting yourself. You know what I mean? You're not being true to yourself, to your morals. You're trying to please everybody else, even when it's not helping you. And a lot of family will be annoyed with you. Oh, she don't pick up for people. She don't talk to people. She don't help no more like she used to help. Yeah, but I was struggling when I was doing that, when I made myself available to everybody and everybody's resources. And I wasn't really helping people that genuinely needed the help. I was helping young and able people that could work, that could do something for themselves, or people that, you know, is manipulating you for your resources and stuff. Yes, God says, you know, we should help people, even people that wrong us. We should. But at the same time, Jesus, when he was on earth, he was not a doormat. He stood up for himself. I'm not going to go into that because I've been through that in several other videos, but I really want you guys to understand that it's okay to be the bad guy. It's okay for when people recall a story that you weren't the one knight shining armor, that you weren't, you know, the nicest, sweetest girl. Sometimes thinking about groups of people that might not like me, you know, there's people that's going to be shady towards you or not like you, or whatever, people you grow up with and ex spaces, and you be thinking like, it makes you like, dang, what could I do to make this person like me? I used to have the disease to please, and it's a real disease. But I tell you that God literally was like, sis, no. And it's been a journey, but I've been understanding it. It's been clearer and clearer and clearer to me that it's okay, because even in the Bible, a lot of the apostles, they weren't the heroes in people's stories. Jesus is not always gonna be seen as the hero to the world, right? Because he came as a double-edged sword. Okay, remember that. He won't always, you know, though he's here, he's giving chances, but even he has a backbone, because in the end, you can't just walk all over God. You can't manipulate God. You can't treat him however. You know, you can't do that. You can't do that. And even the devil, if you in that, when you have people like in Haiti that would serve other religions and and stuff, they had stipulations even their little demons would give them, okay? Who they serve would give them that. If they broke that, that would mean their neck would be split just like that, or they get sick terribly. You can't treat anybody poorly. You can't walk all over people, manipulate people, mistreat people, and not think that there will be consequences for that, okay? And then when you stand up for yourself, people will always villainize you and see you as a bad guy, and you have to be okay with that. I am okay with it now. I am okay if, you know, even if it's family that sit and talk bad about me, okay? I'm okay if it's friends. I'm okay whoever it is, because I know whatever the reason may be that they're talking bad about me, it's because I stood up for myself. People hate you when they can't manipulate you. People hate you when they can't trick you. People hate you when you're healed. When you're healed, you see through stuff, you see through BS. People hate that. They don't want to talk to you like that no more. They're not going to call you as much. The phone's going to stop ringing. It's going to stop ringing because you see through them and they know they can't play you. So they look for other people to play. Everyone who's ever played you, took advantage of you, misused you, I guarantee you once you start standing up for yourself, they will look for someone else who's easier to use, who's easier to manipulate, who's easier to control. They will. And that's when you will see this person disappear and they're nowhere to be found and you're free from them. And it's like, what happened? What happened? You know, my phone stopped ringing when I started, you know, situating myself. My phone stopped ringing. Like, what happened to all these people? Because people by nature will always figure out the next best thing when you don't give them that. On a good note too, on a positive note, that next time somebody's telling you a story about somebody, I always say, every time somebody's recalling to me why they stopped being somebody's friend or why they broke up with somebody, why this, and I'm like, well, how would this person describe you if they were to show you as the villain in their story? You know, it makes you think like, okay, well, because now you have to reflect. Unless you're delusional, very narcissistic person, you know, you gonna be like, oh, I was perfect, I did nothing. No, you have to be able to sit down and describe, how could I have been seen as a villain in this person's story every time they tell you a story. And this is why I say there's always different sides to a story. Even when someone's recalling something to you, don't be quick to take a position, and understand that positions are dependent on who's telling the story, okay? If you heard the other person's story, you probably, you know, like I saw this reel on Instagram where the friend was like, when your friend tells you to stand up for them and you start to stand up for them in the fight, and then the other person that they're fighting starts to make points and it's like, did you know she stole my man, and then she went and came to my house and slashed my tires, and then you're like, whoa, I didn't know you did all that, you know? But when your friend is telling you the story, they're never gonna show themselves as the bad guy. Even me, when I tell people a story, you think I'm gonna sit there and make myself look like the villain? You think I would do that? Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you, I would never. Like, I would phrase it in the most beautiful way, beautiful package. Like, this person was trash and they tried me, okay? I felt disrespected, but then, you know, you always calm down. I'll calm down sometimes. I'm like, dang, okay, all right. But even when you realize, hey, maybe I was the trash one, it's very hard to go admit that to strangers. You might go apologize to the person, but you don't want other strangers or someone else to view you as a bad guy. So keep that in mind as you tell your stories. This is all I have for you guys. Comment below your thoughts. I'm so interested to read your opinions on that. And what other videos would you guys like to get from me? I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the music you listen to, the link is in the description. Until next time. Mwah.